Hey guys, before the video started, I wanted to give some context. I actually wrote and recorded this script a few months ago, before I even made my April Fool's video, which you should check out by the way. It hasn't gotten much attention, but I'm pretty proud of it. But around the time that I was writing the script, I had discovered that someone I had admired a lot when I was younger turned out to be, well, essentially a monster, is the best way to put it. So if I seem at all bitter or resentful during this video, then that's probably why. Still, I think I make some good points in it, so I hope you'll enjoy.
Hello, my name is Joe and welcome to my channel. So guys, the other day I was watching this video from Judgmental Critter about Oscar that I actually agreed with for the most part. I've discussed in the past my issues with Oscar as a character and his role in RWBY. I'll put a card up here if you want to go watch the video yourself. However, there was one moment in that video that stood out to me. While discussing a RWBY rewrite, Critter mentioned the idea of Roman Torchwick being a morally gray character. I feel like this is a really common take on Roman, and it got me thinking, is he though? Is he? So that's what we'll be discussing today. Now, to answer the question of whether Roman is morally gray or not, I went back through Roman scenes in volumes 1 through 3, as well as refreshing myself on Roman Holiday. Because, remember, before you look at subtext, you have to pay attention to the actual text. And let me tell you, there is little to no evidence of Roman being morally gray in these. I mean, just in volumes 1 through 3, Roman is actively racist against the Faunus, calling them animals, regularly tries to kill a 15-year-old, and relishes in the destruction he causes and shows no remorse for anything he does. And in Roman Holiday, he isn't any better. The first chapter we see him in, he assaults someone to steal their coat and doesn't really become any less brutal as time goes on. But Joe, I hear you saying, Roman doesn't want to work for Cinder. He's an unwilling accomplice. And yeah, that's kinda true. But there's nothing to show he had any noble reason for not wanting to work with her. All he said was that since he didn't think the good guys had any chance of winning, he might as well go with who had the best chance, which is one of the least morally gray reasons for working with supervillains. But what about Neo? He's shown to care about her, so he can't be all bad. Yeah. No, that isn't how morality works. You can have people you care about and still be a horrible person. It just means you have emotions, not that you're morally gray. What about his backstory, though? He was abandoned as a child. Yeah, welcome to RWBY, where half the characters were abused, abandoned, or watched their parents die. And those are the good guys. A sad backstory on a villain can be an explanation for their actions, but not a justification, and certainly not a piece of evidence for them to be morally gray. As I was looking through all this, I got really confused as to where this perception of Roman came from, because I feel like it's seen in most things the fandom creates. Fan fiction, fan art, all of those. Where did this idea come from when there is practically no evidence to support it? And I think it can be boiled down to two things: tropes and what I'll call the I can fix him effect. I'll start with tropes. Let's be honest, Roman seems like he should be a morally gray character, doesn't he? The stylish outfit and devil-may-care attitude makes him seem like he should be taking the role of the gentleman thief who's selfish but deep down has a heart of gold. You know, the Flynn Rider type character who starts out kind of villainous but will turn cheek when the chips are down. I mean, it would be understandable for someone to think that Roman and Neo are the RWBY equivalent of Gentle Criminal and La Brava from My Hero, what with their kinda similar designs and general vibes. The other aspect, though, is slightly more troubling. What I'm calling the I can fix him effect is when a character is very likable, either charming or with a really good design or voice actor or something, and because of that, people assume that they can't be all bad. This happens a lot, I feel, especially with minor villains who aren't going to be the main ones facing the hero or causing a huge loss to them. I myself have done this in the past with characters that are probably a lot worse than Roman. And, you know, this is a really human thing to occur. Hell, it even happens in real life. Like when Ted Bundy, a serial killer, fooled so many people and even had fangirls because he seemed friendly and charming. I mean, on a personal level, I've had people I've known in the past end up in really toxic relationships because they couldn't see past the person's charismatic demeanor. Now, I don't want to be dismissive or insulting to people who like Roman. He's a super entertaining character. But it's important to keep in mind that just because he's likable doesn't mean he's not a bad guy. And honestly, it probably doesn't help that RWBY isn't the best with having morally gray characters, but there are a few, I think. And I'll go through 3 real quick and why I think they are morally gray, whereas Roman is not. These 3 being Ozpin, Emerald, and, weirdly, Jean. Now, let's get the big one out of the way first with Ozpin. Ozpin is a morally gray character, but not for the reasons the show seems to point out usually. Like, the big thing with Lost Fable and a lot going forward, I feel, was the idea that Ozpin lied to the group. And yeah, that wasn't great, but I feel like the tone tried to paint this as much more sinister than it actually was. Like, the way Oz reacted when RWBY asked Jin the question made it a little anticlimactic to not actually see Ozpin do much in his backstory that'd be morally questionable. No, what makes Oz morally gray are the things that Hazel and Jean hate him for. Hazel hates Oz for what happened to Gretchen and, more generally, the danger he puts so many children into. And yeah, that's pretty messed up. I mean, it was revealed Oz set up the academies to have warriors constantly around the relics. Student warriors. So basically a bunch of 7 to 20-year-olds, some of which can't even fight in Ursa effectively, are the first line of defense against an unkillable witch with more power than anyone on the planet. Similarly, what he did to Pyrrha was super bad. One line that really bothered me in Volume 4 was Crow saying, "We gave her a choice and she made it." Well, as the red-haired woman so eloquently put it in Volume 6, there wasn't a choice to make there. Like, seriously, Ozpin just goes and stares ominously at Pyrrha after she killed someone and is facing a grim invasion. I feel like people skim over how manipulative that was, let alone asking a first-year student to become a maiden. Ozpin is clearly a good-aligned character, but he will lie, manipulate, and endanger others to achieve his goals. Jean is kinda similar, though to a lesser extent. He is one of the most good-hearted people in the show, even being unable to comprehend how someone as cruel as Cinder can exist, and going out of his way to protect people when he was far too weak for it. However, he isn't exactly lawful. He lied and cheated his way into Beacon. He's the one who suggested Grand Theft Airship, and in Volume 8, he made the call to grant Penny's request and take her life before Cinder could get her powers. He's good, but not always morally upstanding. On the other side of that coin is Emerald. She does awful things and has been a major cause for most of RWBY's greatest tragedies. However, she's remorseful. She never savors the destruction like Cinder or Roman do. Everything she does is from a misplaced sense of devotion to Cinder, who was, seemingly, the first person to ever help her out of the situation she grew up in. Now, whether you think that makes her worthy of the redemption she got is up to you, but it definitely makes her more morally gray than Roman ever was. So, takeaways from this video: just because a villain is likable, it doesn't mean they're morally gray, and just because a person is charming, it doesn't necessarily mean they're good. But, hey, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Think I missed something that would imply Roman is morally gray? Let me know in the comments down below. And, subscribe. I'm gonna do a video every couple of weeks, so you might find something you like. Till next time, safe journeys, my friends.